An orphan boy gets old sneakers he thinks were Michael Jordan's, and wearing them turns him into a basketball star. Meanwhile, he hopes to be adopted by the perfect family. That's why today, like Mike. Remember, if you like the videos, you can support the channel by liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications. It's free and it really helps me keep growing. Let's begin. For example, Calvin, a boy at Chesterfield Orphanage, often plays basketball with his friends. Then Ox, the orphanage bully, appears and challenges him to a one-on-one game. If he loses, he must give him his shirt. His friends Marvin Reich try to convince him that it's a bad idea, but they still accept the challenge. And within a few seconds, we see him lose quickly. So then Ox rips the shirt and mocks him in front of everyone. Although Calvin isn't intimidated, he says he'll be a professional basketball player when he grows up. That's when we meet Beetleman, who is the head of the orphanage, and tells them they have to go sell candy to raise funds. That night, Calvin sees the Knights coach Wagner leaving and approaches him to discuss the game and his passion for the sport. He also tells him that he's an orphan and sells candy for the orphanage. But when Wagner tries to buy from him, he refuses because he's not sure where the money goes. And instead, the coach offers him tickets for the next game. The next day, Sister Teresa brings a donation box. When she pulls out a coat, Calvin's sneakers fall out and catch her eye. The nun says they belong to a famous, tall, bald basketball player. And right then, our protagonist discovers the initials, Michael Jordan, marked on them, so he starts to believe they belong to Michael Jordan. Curiously, the sneakers fit Calvin perfectly. After the nun leaves, Oxy arrives to bother him. He throws them, leaving them tangled on the power lines. During the storm that night, Calvin wakes his friends to help retrieve the sneakers. When he goes outside, he climbs a tree to reach them. As he grabs them, lightning hits Calvin in the wiring, causing a small explosion that knocks him down. Luckily, Calvin is okay, and now he starts to notice that the sneakers are glowing as if they have some kind of power. On game day, the protagonists get tickets, and Calvin invites his rival, Oxy, asking him not to tell Beetleman. Later, we meet Frank, who holds a halftime raffle for an audience member to play a one-on-one game with Tracy Reynolds, who is the star player of the team. Calvin wins the raffle, and when he reaches the center court, he's told he has 60 seconds to beat Tracy. So the boy ties the laces of his new sneakers, wishing to be turned into Mike. When the one-on-one starts, we see that Calvin scores twice without much difficulty, making Tracy start to worry, since he doesn't want to be embarrassed in front of the crowd and decides to start playing seriously. But our protagonist makes a stunning jump to score the last point, leaving everyone amazed. Frank and Coach Wagner then visit the orphanage to speak with Beetleman. They offer him $7,500 to hire Calvin for a day with the Knights. The Guardian agrees. Later, Calvin tells his friends the news and claims his sneakers are powerful. Before he got them, he wasn't very good at basketball, so he decides to keep it a secret so no one finds out, although in the distance, Ox is listening to the conversation. On game night, Calvin brings his friends to watch him play at the court. When he enters the locker room, he sees the other players mocking Tracy for losing to a kid. That's when he receives the Knights uniform, which includes new sneakers he has to wear. When he talks to the coach, he learns he won't be playing because they only hired him to increase audience attendance and nothing more. During the game, the Knights begin to lose as the rivals increase their lead, prompting the team to gather with the coach. When Calvin finally fits in with them, he shares his winning strategy, which seems to be a very good idea because the coach decides to take out one of the players and substitute the boy in. The game restarts and Calvin gets nervous when he realizes he isn't wearing his magic sneakers. He keeps passing the ball to Tracy repeatedly until he calls a timeout to use the bathroom. Does he actually go to the locker room to change shoes? Once he finds them, he returns to the game for his special move. Especially since his performance helped the Knights win the game, his victory earns him a contract to travel with the team, so he returns to the orphanage to pack. Middleman then appears, saying many people will likely want to adopt him now that he's famous. But he won't allow it because the contract he signed as a substitute says that as long as he plays with the Knights, no one will be able to adopt him. This way, he can protect his money. On the trip, the coach tells Tracy he'll share his hotel room with Calvin, and though he disagrees, he has to accept. That night, Tracy chooses to leave the hotel. and the boy offers to join him. But the player persuades him to stay and order anything he wants from room service. As a team member, everything he orders is free. When he returns, Tracy finds the room made up. It's a mess because Calvin ate until he nearly burst, but he doesn't care and tells her to leave. Calvin ignores her because he arrived with another girl, and when he goes to the bathroom, the girl asks if there's someone else. She meets Estrella, sees he's sick, and offers to take him for a walk to get fresh air. In the room, Calvin apologizes to his roommate and asks to pray with him before bed. He asks to leave the light on since he's afraid of the dark. Once the boy falls asleep, he snores. That's why Tracy is very sleepy the next day, and Calvin informs the coach. They stayed up late the night before, prompting Wagner to scold him. He shouldn't bring women to the room and they should go to bed before 1 or 2. Otherwise, he'll have to suspend him from the team. Calvin apologizes for revealing what happened, but Tracy, upset, tells him she'll keep her distance. As days pass, Calvin fails to get autographs from rival team players, but his outstanding plays help the Knights win more games, making him the main focus. Although sometimes schoolwork makes things a bit complicated for him. When the trip ends, Calvin returns to the orphanage, where Morph asks him what it feels like to be famous. So his friend tells him that it's fun because he has everything he's ever dreamed of. And then Ock gets up to bother him by trying to take his sneakers. Luckily, Viralman shows up to rescue him and threatens Brabucon with sending him to sleep in the basement if he keeps bothering our protagonist. One night, Tracy tells friends he's heading to the pharmacy for allergy pills. Although Calvin wants to join, the star player refuses, leaving him upset. Then his other friend tells him not to worry, since Tracy doesn't get along with anyone. When the famous player heads to the pharmacy, Calvin arrives to scare him. How did he manage to get there in time to hide in the back seat? When they arrive, the boy stays waiting in the car. When Tracy meets a pharmacist, he flirts with her and ignores everyone else. She tells him the bottle with the red cap has sleeping pills and warns him to take only one because they're very strong, and the ones with the blue cap are his allergy pills, which he should take twice a day. So he keeps getting distracted talking to the girl and doesn't realize that he takes the wrong pills. And when he comes back while waiting at a red light, he falls asleep almost immediately. The problem is that it's almost 12, and if he's late, he'll be suspended from the team. That's why Calvin switches seats to drive faster and reach the hotel on time despite unexpected obstacles. And the next day, Tracy finds out that Calvin was punished for reckless driving and that he took the blame so that he wouldn't get suspended. Later, the boy comes to apologize and says he truly wants to be his friend. At the foster home, Marv says a group of parents wants to adopt him, even though no one else does. Calvin confronts Viralman about lying, and Viralman says he was just protecting him. But the boy insists on having a family, so the caretaker arranges meetings with the worst candidates to convince him that it's better to stay at the orphanage under his care. Later, Calvin visits Tracy to learn about his life, but ends up sharing his problems, and Tracy helps him study geometry. One afternoon, Marv tells Calvin Tracy is the perfect person to adopt him, but Calvin disagrees. He doesn't talk to his father, and when he tries to help him reconcile the next day, he only ends up upsetting Tracy. A few days later, a couple arrives at the orphanage to adopt Calvin. Meanwhile, Viralman asks Ox about the protagonist's magic sneakers. Later, he gives the boy new sneakers so he can remove the old ones, saying he needs to make a good impression on his potential new family. Before leaving, Calvin asks Marv to treat his magic sneakers like his life. After they leave, Nox and Viralman arrive to take them away. They burn the boy's only photo of his biological mother to pressure him into revealing the hiding place, and he tells them everything. The caretaker then arrives at a bar and bets $100,000 that the Knights will lose the championship. Calvin dines with his future family as Tracy finally speaks to her father. On game day, Tracy hopes to tell Calvin something important, but when she learns a couple will adopt him, she forgets what she wanted to say. Shortly after, and with little time left before the game, Drake forces Marv to tell Calvin everything that happened with the sneakers. So he decides to go to the orphanage as soon as possible, but it's already too late and the game starts without him. At the orphanage, he asks his friends to help catch Viral Man, and when Ox finds out that the caretaker only used him, he decides to help Calvin get back the magic sneakers that were in a safe. Luckily, Calvin bought skateboards for everyone, so they speed to the stadium for the game. But on the way, they run into the gamblers who try to stop them. Thanks to his skill, magic sneakers, and help from his best friend Marv, our protagonist escapes them. When he arrives at the court, he finds Viral Man waiting to stop them. But Calvin attacks with his skateboard and joins the game just in time to help them win. Gradually, he becomes everything the team needs. But when the score is tied and there's very little time left before the game ends, an accident happens where Calvin's sneakers break completely. Then the boy tells Tracy he can't go on because he's lost the magic in his sneakers. Tracy tells him he believes in him and persuades him to try another pair. Before the final shot, Calvin tells his teammates he wants to quit playing to be a normal kid. And when he returns to the game, our protagonist seems to have lost his talent, but he manages to make a great pass to Tracy, who scores the basket. With these points, the Knights win. After the game, Calvin goes back to the orphanage instead of his adoptive parents, feeling he doesn't belong with them. The next day, the team arrives at the orphanage because now the Knights will sponsor the home. We learn Varelman hasn't returned since the game day due to the bet he can't pay. Tracy tells Calvin she wants to adopt him and Morph, making them brothers. Afterwards, we see that Rake found a family and that Calvin finally lost his fear of sleeping in the dark, although he still snores while he sleeps. That was like Mike. Remember to like, comment which movies you'd like to see, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss new videos.